60 Minutes Rewind.
He's long been known as the tartest tongue in the Senate, but feisty Fritz Hollings, Democrat, South Carolina, is giving up his seat. He didn't lose it. He wasn't defeated by a younger Republican, but after 38 years, he just decided enough's enough. The Senate has changed, and not for the better, he says. I'm sick of raising money to get reelected, so I'm going home to Charleston. And that's where we sat down with him to let him fire a few final barbs about what's wrong with Congress. Insights from an insider who knows better than anyone the unhappy differences between then and now, especially when it comes to money.
Woo! When I got up there, it was hardly a breakfast or an evening reception. Now there are 3 breakfasts, 3 receptions. Now, on Fridays, we don't work. We back home on fundraisers. You got to collect money.
You mean all of this is about money?
Yeah, this is all about money. There isn't any question.
Give me the numbers.
Well, in my last campaign, and 6 years ago, it was $8.5 million. That factors out to about $30,000 a week, each week, every week for 6 years. So if I miss right at this time, Christmas week or New Year's week, or something, I'm 60,000 in the hole. I got to hurry up and start playing catch-up ball. The cancer on the body politics, Mr. President, is money. Money, money, money.
He says senators spend hours a day, almost every day, just working the phones to raise cash. Do a telephone call. I'm on the other side of the phone.
Yeah, I'm calling you for the Democratic Campaign Committee. Now, we got a chance to take the Senate back and stop some of this nonsense, faith-based this and faith-based that, and you got to have moral values. We got better morals than that crowd has. We need your help. Can you give us another contribution?
How much?
Well, for the party, $25,000. I've asked for $50,000. I shocked myself.
What's in it for me, Senator?
Good government. Russell Long said, those who give the money will get more than good government.
In other words, I'll get access to you.
That's right.
As a powerful senator in the Senate of the United States.
There ain't any question about that. We say it's otherwise, but it's sort of adulterated us in the sense that we can't see everybody.
Yeah.
So you're bound to see those who are the big givers. It's gratitude.
But does access mean your vote?
Well, not only the vote, wait a minute, it's way ahead of us. K Street lawyers now and lobbyists and interests make up the legislation, and they work with staffs and everything else.
What do you mean
that.
They make up the legislation? The bills that come before the...
Oh, yeah, the bills and the special interests overwhelm us with submitted legislation.
So who are the interests?
Communications, defense, you got them all, farm, agriculture people, and everything else like that.
The energy bill. Who wrote it?
The lobbyists. The energy industry wrote that. That's just exactly what the oil industry wanted.
They want their piece of the pie.
And they get their piece of the pie. That's our problem today. You can't find the real interests of the country.
Hollings won his first campaign at age 26 for a seat in the South Carolina House of Representatives. In there, surprisingly, he helped pass an anti-lynching law, and he became South Carolina's youngest governor at the age of 36. He managed the peaceful integration of Clemson University back when other Southern governors were fighting to keep their universities all white. But in the U.S. Senate, the one vote he cast that he knew was wrong, and that he's always felt guilty about, was against putting Thurgood Marshall on the U.S. Supreme Court. Why'd you vote against Thurgood Marshall?
I couldn't get reelected. That's the honest answer. And if I'd have voted for him, I might as well withdraw from the race. It was political.
But the political landscape changed on his watch. He saw the South switch from a solid Democratic bloc to a Republican stronghold. I grew up under Franklin Roosevelt and people after that.
That's right.
And this was the solid Democratic South. What happened?
We had a sweetheart deal with the National Democratic Party. We'll go along with all your programs if you go along with our segregation. But once that civil rights bill passed in 1964, Lyndon the friend became Lyndon the enemy. Mm-hmm. Now, the Republican Party is all white, and the Democratic Party is a majority black, I would say.
Here in South Carolina?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia. You can just go right across the spectrum.
What are you saying, that all of these folks that keep voting Republican are racist?
Not quite. They are conservative. They honestly don't believe in government. like we do in the Democratic Party. We believe in feeding the hungry and housing the homeless and educating the uninformed and everything else like that. They believe in private education, privatized Social Security, privatized energy policy, privatized private. They don't believe in we the people in order to form a more perfect union.
Well, then why are they so successful among we the people?
Because we run a lousy campaign.
With a lousy candidate.
Yeah, well, he was a good fella. He's still one of the finest, but he got overcoached. He had too many consultants, too many pollsters, and really too many in that they call it Noah's Ark, because he had 2 or 3 of everything, and he never could make up his mind.
Hollings has a richly deserved reputation for blunt candor, especially about Republicans. Example, Condoleezza Rice and Majority Leader Bill Frist.
He's the finest physician in the world, and any doubt about it, if I had a heart transplant needed, I'd go get to Dr. Frist.
He wants to be president, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's now running for president. He's out of his element. He ought to be back in the operating room. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Condoleezza Rice.
Oh, good. A real mistake. She ought to go back to teaching Russian or whatever it was, and for her to come on to the television and saying, on 911, there was nothing specific, nothing specific. You don't say that. You don't ever get a call and say, we're going to bomb you tomorrow morning. I mean, that's peace and that's intelligence work.
And Hollings told us that neither John Kerry nor George W. Bush could begin to compare with his hero, Jack Kennedy. That's Hollings next to Kennedy back when he ran JFK's presidential campaign in the South.
The world loved him, the most popular president of the United States ever. Mm-hmm. And he's the most unpopular president ever, George W. Whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Mideast, whether it's out in the Pacific Rim or whatever it is. Oh no, they like America still. They don't gee-haw with George W., I can tell you that.
Because?
Because of his policy. You know, I'm going to do it on my own. You're either with me or against me. You've got to work with people and things. Leading is not fussing and cussing them out and insulting them.
The story will continue after this.
Hollings wishes this President Bush had learned a lesson from his dad's war in the Gulf when George Sr. stayed out of Baghdad.
Papa Bush said, never lead American troops into an urban guerrilla warfare and bog down in a quagmire and turn the Arab world against us. I mean, he was against going into Baghdad, but I think George W. wanted to say, I can do what Daddy can't. I want to show him that he should have gone on. And of course, he had the cheerleaders of Pearl and Wolfowitz and Cheney and Rumsfeld and everything and said, whoopee.
Hollings voted for the Iraq War, but he believes the war has been a colossal mistake and that getting out of Iraq will not be easy.
Democracy is voluntary. You can't force-feed democracy, particularly with this disparate Kurds, Sunnis, Shiites. It's just not going to stay together. It's not a natural. They've been after each other. You can't change a culture and the history.
The Sunnis, the Shias, the Kurds, and so forth.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. And you ought to understand it.
He blames Donald Rumsfeld for mismanaging the war, trying to do too much with too few. And he blames President Bush for huge budget deficits because instead of raising taxes to pay for the war, Bush fought for tax cuts.
Whoopee, let's make the tax cut permanent. Let's lose another $4 trillion. We don't care. By the way, there's a war on. We're going to have deficits. So suey pig, everybody come. Anybody you want anything, we've got the money. We'll just print it.
You know something, Senator? Talking about money, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Monogrammed shirts.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I mean, and this is not cheap.
That's right. That's right. I got this when I was a little lieutenant governor.
That shirt?
Not this shirt, but that's when I started with custom shirts. I haven't bought any in about 15 years.
Now, with a pension of $124,000 a year, we're not going to hold a tag sale for Fritz Hollings. He and his wife, Pete, have been married for 33 years.
Had 4 children. We got 7 grandchildren. We got a good family.
She does what you tell her to do, I suppose.
No. She's got her own mind, I can tell you. And now they say you reach that stage the golden years, honey-do this and honey-do that. So I'm ready to do that.
Of course, I've heard it said that you and Pete have gotten along so well because you're both in love with the same man.
Yeah, they talk about the couples in Washington. We get along better than any, and one fella that knows me says that's easily explained. They said they're both in love with the same fella.
He may be 83, but he doesn't act like it, and he believes it's the Senate that has kept him young. But he says the Congress is not as much of a convivial club as it used to be. When you made your farewell speech to the Senate, how many senators were on the floor?
Finally, none.
You serious?
Yeah, they watch you on TV.
Senators can watch live pictures from the Senate floor, and they rarely come to the floor except to cast a quick vote. Speaking to just empty chairs sounds...
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I wanted to get in.
bizarre.
I wanted to get into Iraq. I wanted to get into several other subjects, but I was boring me.
And now he returns home a hero to many, but not all. And that's just fine with him.
The newspaper here in the hometown, one of the letters to the editor ended, "We sure hope Hollings enjoys his retirement, because we sure as hell will."